Hello everyone, today we are going to break down the new official pictures for House of the Dragon and go over some of the news from the article. But before that, remember to like the video, helps out the channel a lot, and subscribe, and yada yada yada. Let's get to it. Entertainment Weekly is the one who released the photos. I will link the original article in the description below. In the article, the showrunner said that the show will have a linear passage of time. So they will not be jumping around from different timelines, they're going to do it in order. The Witcher tried juggling different timelines and fell flat on their face, and this story is much more complex, so I'm happy about it. The first picture is of the Great Council at Harrenhal of 101 AC, which was about succession. The person in the middle is King Jaehaerys Targaryen, also known as the Old King. He had outlived all of his heirs to the throne. All that were left were grandchildren and great-grandchildren. The Great Council consisted of a bunch of lords and ladies to decide who would succeed the Old King. The person on the left who ultimately gets the vote is Viserys Targaryen. The person to the right is his wife Aemma Arryn. Her mother is a Targaryen as well, which is why she has silver hair. The only other real competition Viserys had for the throne was his cousin, who is on the far right, Rhaenys Targaryen. Some would say she had a better claim than Viserys did, since her father Aemon Targaryen was the older brother of Viserys' father, Balon. But the High Lords passed over her because she was a lady. But Rhaenys had a son with her husband, Corlys Velaryon, who is standing to her left. Laenor Velaryon was his name, and he did receive some votes. But Laenor was only 7, still a child. Viserys was 24 and already had a daughter, Rhaenyra, and as you can see, Aemma is pregnant again. The person to the right of Jaehaerys is part of the Kingsguard. He happens to be the Lord Commander, Sir Ryman Redwyne, who is considered to be one of the greatest knights of his day, winning many of tourney. The person to the left of Jaehaerys is the Hand of the King, Septon Barth, who is considered to be one of the wisest people to have sit that office. The next photo we have seen before in the teaser trailer they released. It's some of the High Lords swearing fealty to Viserys and then to his daughter Rhaenyra. So after the death of Aemma Arryn, Viserys' first wife, the question of succession came up again since a male heir never survived. To avoid questions of succession, Viserys decided to make his firstborn child, Rhaenyra, the heir. We also get a really good look at the new Iron Throne. I really like the look of it. It's much closer to what George R.R. Martin had in mind, but still close enough to the one we saw in Game of Thrones to make this work. The next photo is of Alicent Hightower and Rhaenyra Targaryen, the younger versions. They are walking through the God's Wood in King's Landing. Presumably, we see a weirwood tree in the background. Weirwood trees are part of the old gods tradition. Like in Game of Thrones, we saw Starks pray in front of them. The two seem to be having a great time, smiling and laughing with one another. That seems to be the theme so far with the younger versions of the character, that they are close in the beginning and drift apart at some point. Many people believe it's after Alicent and Viserys, Rhaenyra's father, started having children, and Rhaenyra as the heir began to be questioned. The next photo is of Alicent Hightower and her father, Otto Hightower, who is the Hand of the King to Viserys. We really don't get a whole lot of info from this pic, but from the expression on Alicent's face, she looks pissed. In Fire and Blood, there is a lot of rumors about Alicent, some being sexual in nature. I won't go into details, but maybe this has something to do with this scene. The next photo is one we have seen before in the teaser trailers. It is of Alicent Hightower and Rhaenyra Targaryen grabbing each other. If you remember from the trailers, it begins with Alicent holding the cat's paw dagger and charging at Rhaenyra, trying to stab one of her eyes out. Now, the showrunners have said that this isn't the cat's paw dagger we saw in Game of Thrones, it just happens to look like it. But I'm gonna continue to call it that cause it looks like it. So it seems Alicent has calmed down a bit. She's at least not trying to stab Rhaenyra anymore. It seems they are talking through their issues. But from the picture, we now know why Alicent was trying to stab Rhaenyra. If you don't want to know, I would skip this part. On the right of Alicent, we see her son Aemond, and his right eye seems to be bloody. Aemond's nickname is Aemond One Eye. Aemond lost his eye during a scuffle with Rhaenyra's sons. In short, Aemond called them Strongs, which is a house in Westeros. Rhaenyra is married to Laenor Velaryon. So Aemon is saying that Rhaenyra's sons are not Laenor's, they are bastards of Harwin Strong, which is a rumor that is circulating around court at this time. That is why Alicent is trying to stab Rhaenyra, who is probably protecting her sons. Alicent wants revenge, an eye for an eye, literally. The next picture is of Daemon Targaryen wearing his tourney armor. They're going a lot more fantasy with the style this time compared to Game of Thrones. This is much more what George R.R. Martin had in mind for the armor when writing the books. Like in Game of Thrones, Jaime Lannister is supposed to have a lion helmet. Rhaegar Targaryen is described to have similar armor to this when he fought Robert on the Trident. I would guess this is the tourney where the greens and blacks term was coined, so there was a tourney held at King's Landing to celebrate the 5th anniversary of Alicent Hightower and Viserys Targaryen's marriage. Rhaenyra Targaryen was in attendance as well. At the time, the court had really split into two factions, one supporting Rhaenyra and one supporting Alicent. During this tourney, Alicent wore a green gown, and Rhaenyra wore the colors of House Targaryen, black and red. People noticed this and started calling the factions by these names, the greens and the blacks. The following picture is also of the tourney. We see Criston Cole and Daemon Targaryen squaring off in the melee. Now, there is only one mention of these two fighting one another at a tourney, and that was in 104 AC at Maidenpool, so I could be wrong about it being the 111 AC tourney. But from the previous teaser, we do see both the girls in attendance. Also, I don't think they would have two tourneys in the same season. That would be a lot. So they could be combining both of the tourneys. Criston Cole isn't from a great noble house. His father was a steward. After his performance at the tourney, Viserys makes Criston Rhaenyra's sworn shield. A year later, he gets raised to the Kingsguard. The next picture is of Daemon Targaryen holding a dragon egg. In the last teaser trailer they released, we saw Daemon carrying this egg with his lover Mysaria by his side. I thought this could be that, but the egg is a different color. Now maybe he has a couple of eggs and he hasn't chosen one yet. There is another scene where they are trying to hatch the egg. They have it over a fire. Maybe that changed the color. If this is the egg from the teaser, the reason why Daemon snuck in and stole it was for Mysaria, who he got pregnant, and he wanted to give it to her as a gift. King Viserys, Daemon's brother, was furious and demanded the egg back. That is why he sent Otto Hightower, the Hand of the King, and some Kingsguard members to retrieve it. The next photo is of Corlys Velaryon, also known as the Sea Snake, and his wife Rhaenys Targaryen. I believe they are at Driftmark, which is the seat of House Velaryon. The two could be discussing literally anything. House Velaryon is actually the wealthiest house in the Seven Kingdoms, more wealthy than the Lannisters, so when we do get to see more of Driftmark, it should be pretty lavish. You may wonder how House Velaryon got their wealth. Well, Corlys is considered to be one of the greatest explorers Westeros has ever known, traveling all over, making many visits to Essos. He brought back many treasures, making him and his house very wealthy. The next photo is of Sir Harold Westerling. Harold is part of the Kingsguard. You can tell this by the armor he is wearing. After Ryman Redwine's death in 105 AC, he takes over as Lord Commander of the Kingsguard. So what do you think of the pictures? Did I miss anything? Leave it down in the comments below, and if you want more House of the Dragon content, please subscribe and like the video. Also check out the Twitter link in the description below, and as always, have an awesome day.